Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Money and the Law, here on My FM 101.3 in the New England Bonsai Garden studio. I'm John Drohan, one of your hosts, and joined by the other host, Jay Marsden. Is he a better host? Sometimes.
Wouldn't that make you a co-host?
As
opposed to the host?
I'm the host.
It's not host one and host two.
I'm
it's
the host, and you're the other host. I'm money. It's like money and law.
All right.
Money
So I think what you're saying, the way you legal your way out of this, you say, I'm the host of the money side of the show. You're the host of the law side of the show. That doesn't make us co-host. It makes us individual, not joint.
Which side is more important? Which side brings more to the table? That's up for you to decide.
For the audience to decide. Text us.
Don't decide. Don't just
text us. Text us.
Here, I'll say.
Text us at the MyFM text line 508-473-MyFM. Text us which one you like better.
That's 6936 in case you don't know what the letters are.
In case you do the
number. That's right. 1-900.
Yep. Text us your questions. Text us any questions about which of the two you prefer.
Now, actually, if you prefer the law, then I would prefer for you to lie to me and say that, oh, yeah, no, the money stuff's really fascinating, too. No. Good morning. And wait, let us not forget, we're also joined by the Holliston Cable Access TV. We are on TV today thanks to Christian. Christian, thanks for showing up today. Christian, you can wave to the camera to let us know that you're there. Yeah, he's waving.
He's waving.
And he, too, is in the New England Bonsai Studio. Last week, I think, didn't you get bit by something? Didn't you get like a leech or something, or some kind of parrot attack? So there was some wildlife from the Bonsai Studio.
That's right. Last year, that's right. We actually after that attack happened, they reached out to me and said, if you could put together a wildlife waiver, because there's so much lush tropical vibe going on in the New England Bonsai Garden Studio. So we said,
speaking of the wildlife waiver,
don't feed the animals. That's right.
You know what I listened to the other day? I went back and I listened to one of our old shows, and I listened to the disclaimer at the end. I mean, have you ever listened to the whole thing?
We've talked about this.
It's
its own show.
It's awful.
It's its own show.
You know what? On behalf of
at 9 o'clock, at 9 o'clock, Money in the Law. At 10 o'clock, the disclaimer from Money in the Law. And 11 o'clock, Sports Buzz. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I have. I on behalf of the Securities and Exchange Commission and all of the industry, I'm sorry that we have to do that disclaimer, but unfortunately, we have to do it.
What the big words giveth, the little words taketh away.
This is true. That's why I got a lawyer. That's why I don't go anywhere without my lawyer.
That's right. That's right. So what are we talking about today? What is on your mind? Before we jump into that, we have 5 seconds. I just want to recognize that obviously we're taping the show. It's going to be played on Saturday morning. I know you think we're live, but we're not. It sounds like we're live. But I just want to recognize the day we tape this show, 50th anniversary of Robert Kennedy's death.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a big, obviously, like any of these anniversaries, there's a lot of stuff on television, a lot of stuff that comes up. There's a ton of historical, if you like history, which I tend to love, there's a ton of information out there, but just a fascinating, fascinating time. And the parallels with today's climate it's a little scary, frightening, unsettling. Pick a word, scary. But just amazing. But anything that you see right now, it's just an amazing. In some sense, very uplifting, but also in many ways heartbreaking. I was explaining it to the kids today at the bus stop, and my daughter, God bless her, she reaches over, she's like, "Dad, you gonna be okay?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be okay."
It's funny, right? It's funny when they recognize it. Like, is that my old man? Like, he's starting to lose it.
Is his voice breaking while he's telling me the story? And I'm like, yeah, guys. I'm like, just again, crazy time. Then and now, but anyway.
And think about it. So the Robert Kennedy so the Robert Kennedy assassination, that was the one that nobody saw coming, right?
I completely agree
with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not like you see it coming, not like no one really saw the JFK assassination coming, right? But post JFK assassination, it was like, wow, that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like the reality of that, it became a painful reality to America, to the whole world, that something like this can happen to, in America, right? In the United States.
And there was substantial concerns about the safety of Martin Luther King.
Yep.
Always throughout all of his advocacy, there were always concerns about his safety, and people were very conscious of it. And I completely agree with you. And I unfortunately, because I love history so much, I'll watch that Ambassador Hotel piece of the puzzle 1,000 times over, and every time you watch it, you still wait for something to happen where you say to yourself, That didn't really happen.
Yeah.
It didn't really happen. I mean, to see him at that podium and to see his supporters responding to him the way they're responding to him, and to see the crowd of celebrities that are on the stage with him, and then to also looking back now in this day and age and realize how ridiculously accessible. I mean,
they all were. And this is post his brother getting killed,
exactly
right?
That's exactly. I mean, and there are people who were part of that. Who I remember, there was a lot of interviews this week, and there was one person who said, she goes, all of a sudden, she said, it dawned on me. She said, looking around, where's the security? Like, where's security? Right?
They're in the back watching.
They're somewhere. They're somewhere. I mean, they're around, but they're not like they are today, where there's, I mean, we're not even getting into that. But it just was different, right? And and again, at the time he's a sitting U.S. senator. He's not, yes, he's a president of the brother who passed away.
That's right.
But that, to your point, everybody thought that was a fluke. It's a one-time deal. And so he's on that podium. There's 1,000 people crowded on that podium. His wife is right next to him. Rosie Greer is there. A lot of his aides are there.
You'd think Rosie Greer would be as big a security guy, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, well, that was part of the reason. He's like, yeah, sure, I'm there for that, right? And then, as he's leaving the podium, they basically say to him, all right, you're going to go to the press room, which is over here to the left. But, I know that's where you were supposed to go, but we're going to go right because we're going to take you through the kitchen because the kitchen help wants to say hello, basically, right? Yeah. That's kind of the story, or I could be getting it wrong, but it was that much of a,
that's right.
Instead of going left, go right. Okay, go right. Okay,
yeah, just
great.
one change that,
Yeah, we're going to go the long way. We're going to go the long way to the press room. You go through the kitchen real quick, and then the rest obviously is history. But I was trying to explain this to the kids today, and just explaining the whole dynamic. But again, I don't care how many times you hear that speech about, thanks for all your help here, and now it's on to Chicago. It's a fascinating time, and it's a fascinating moment. And then to see the aftermath of it, where you see all of his supporters literally are just breaking down in the ballroom at the Ambassador Hotel. He just spoke to them 5 seconds ago. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Right, and then you think about kind of how that the what could have happened post, in that post, if it doesn't happen, how does that change? How does that change? The course of history.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's. I mean, that's.
How does that change because that essentially became the end of that Kennedy, that Kennedy,
the mystique and everything that was.
Or the Kennedy, the potential of the Kennedy coming back into the White House, because him and his brother were, they agreed on many things. They weren't like in perfect agreement, but they were kind of the same, of the same cloth, right?
Right.
So you would say, how would that have changed Vietnam? How would that have changed the relationship with, if Robert Kennedy goes on and becomes president?
Well, and then there was talk, if you read the sort of I always find the behind the scenes, conversations that happen in the hallways of the hotels and things like that fascinating. And then there was a lot of talk about when they get to the 68 Democratic Convention and what a train wreck that was. At some point, somebody put the arm on Ted Kennedy and said, I can get your name submitted, for the nomination. And I think that might be what sort of brings this, this whole convention together. And Kennedy said, no, I don't want to let that cup pass me by, right? I don't want that right now for any number of reasons. I mean, who can even imagine, right?
Yeah.
But there was talk about that. So all these
he's too scared.
Well, you talk about all these woulda, couldas, and that was a real deal. That was a real thing for him throughout the rest of his career. Putting aside the Chappaquiddick piece, that was always a thing for them. The people always talked about the
Kennedy
curse
made a
and
run.
all this other stuff.
He made a run.
Yep, late in the day. Late in the day.
He made a run later on, but it was at that moment, at that time in history, right? That was America was in such a transitional space that that Kennedy, the Kennedy mystique, right? Yeah. And then remember, so we're 5 years post, the JFK assassination. So just like anything, somebody, he's assassinated, he's in his early 40s and he's assassinated, and then everybody's, traumatized, and you forget kind of all the things that you disagreed with him. A lot of people were like, some people didn't, but a lot of people were like, wow, he could have done so much. He was going to, and then we're neck deep in the Vietnam War in 1968, and where that and that was such a huge part of what was going on in America at that time,
right.
That if that were to if Robert Kennedy were there how could he have changed it? And it's a fascinating.
And they talked about it on the news today because they were Cokie Roberts was on the news today, remembering a bunch of things. Somebody called and asked some questions, and she made that comment. She, one person can change, the trajectory of history, if you will, and this is one of those scenarios. So fascinating. If you have, and I like to bring it up because it's around this time that there tends to be a lot of stuff that you don't have to go looking for, right? Like it finds you on television, and there's a Netflix documentary that's fantastic, and there's a bunch of stuff out there. So if you have,
and most people don't know the story.
Now's the time.
Most people don't know the story. They don't know the what Robert Kennedy the impact that he had on not only the Kennedy presidency but also as a senator, and how he
and the change in him as an individual from when he was an attorney for Joseph McCarthy, all the way through the change after his brother's presidency. I mean, he's a different person.
How old was he when he died?
How old do you think he was? So now remember, this guy's essentially, assuming that history takes a different course, he's potentially on his way to being
45,
42 years old.
Right. You're about right. I mean, I wish I was 42.
Yeah, that's 8 years ago. I can barely get out of bed in the morning, right? To get to work, and this guy's running across the country looking to change the world, right? So
42.
So I'm gonna don't think too much into that. Don't beat yourself up, everybody.
I'm okay.
We're not all Robert Kennedy.
I'm gonna get through it.
But anyway, interesting stuff. So that's my I digress right there. But it's just a fascinating.
So let's transition. That's a great segue into what I wanted to talk about.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Which was how to save.
God, it's awful.
Terrible. It's brutal. We're going to take a break.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's wrap that up.
We're going to close this.
Yeah, we can't do this justice. We can't do this justice. Let's close up this segment of the show.
Robert Kennedy assassination, right? And we'll be right back on Money in the Law and talking about other things other than fascinating times in American history. Right on WMRC, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, John Drone, Holliston Cable Access TV. We will be right back.
And we're back. Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group, John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. And we're just coming off of a very interesting segue about American history. But that being said,
that's all we're talking about now.
That's all we're talking about now. No, we could do a whole show on that. But
we could do a whole show on a lot of things.
Yeah. But let's. What was on your mind? You came in the door breathing fire this morning. What were you so excited
ready.
about?
I'm ready. So this is. I want to talk about simple. I want to go back to basics. I want to back to fundamentals.
Love it.
And I want to talk about how to save.
Check your mechanics, folks.
Yep. How to save money, because at the end of the day, in the financial planning world, it's all about savings. We can do all this investment, that investment. We can do this, this portfolio. We can do this strategy and blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, if you don't have any money to invest, or if you don't have any money to allocate anywhere,
if you haven't saved any money,
then it doesn't matter. Then it's all academic. So,
and by the way, just for people who think we're oversimplifying this is how I think about revisiting a topic like this. Okay. Every once in a while, you're watching the Masters, and they're talking about Tiger Woods, or they're talking about somebody else, and you'll hear one of the announcers say, "Oh, and yeah, that's right. And over the last 3 months, Tiger Woods is working with Mr. So-and-so, and he's changed his golf swing completely, right? Working on, and you say to yourself,
he's working on his wrist, his right hand.
Tiger Woods is changing his golf swing? Yeah. Like, I like to change mine because it's horrible, all right? And I like to change it from top to bottom, but I'm not Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
At some point, you say, if you're the #1 golfer in the world, or whoever you are, maybe you got to figure it out. Maybe you know what you're doing, right? But these guys, even at that level, bring in somebody to say, look, I'm Tiger Woods and I'm the greatest golfer in the world, but it's not working for me anymore. I got to change my swing. I got to change the way I'm doing something because it just doesn't work. Help me rebuild this.
That's a great, because to carry on that comment, I was in years and years ago. I was in this seminar, right? And a guy, this is back when Tiger Woods actually was the #1 golfer in the world. And a guy walks in, he says, okay, and it was about getting outside help, right? And he said, okay, who's the #1 golfer in the world? Guys, everybody says Tiger Woods. He says, how many coaches do you think, or how many? He said, is there anybody who knows more about golf than Tiger Woods? And everybody's like, obviously not, because he's the #1 golfer in the world. And they say, how many coaches do you think Tiger Woods has? And then guess, 1, maybe 2. He says, nope, 5. 5 different coaches. This is back in the heyday,
back in the day.
Yep. And reason being is because even when you're at the top of your game, or even there's always things that you can look at. There's always a different perspective that you can get, or there's a different viewpoint that you may not be seeing because you're so focused on what you're doing. And this happens to people, right? This happens to people who are we're in the fight. Like if you're married, you got 2 kids, you're going to work every day, you're trying to save, you're trying to, be involved in your kids' lives, you're trying to, play softball on Sunday night, you're trying to do all the things in your life, you're trying to, write in your case, write your memoir.
Sure.
Or build your outside, what is it, the Washington Street pub that's out there?
847, pub 847. Yeah.
So yeah, you're doing all, there's a million things going on. So oftentimes, you think, okay, I got a plan, and I don't have time. I don't have the mental time or energy to be able to focus on something or to look at it from a different perspective. So it's great to have some other insight come in or some other, like another viewpoint to say, hey, why don't you look at this a little bit differently and get help? And
well, and if you're playing the long game, it's also somebody to kind of keep your head in the game, right?
That's right.
People use fitness instructors to come in and do the work for them, and that might get them on track and help them reach goals and objectives. But then at some point they go, oh, man, I'm just kind of stuck in a rut and need to do something different. Boom, bring the instructor back in. You tell them, well, things aren't really working as well for me. I'm not really getting the results I wanted to. Great. Here's what you need to change. To your point, move your elbow out, pull your wrist in, because you can't see it on yourself.
Right. I'm just picturing some fitness instructor, some like shaved head dude like screaming at you on the bench press, and I would probably pay money to see that. That would be worth the price of admission.
There's a lot of things.
Marsden.
There's a lot of things I'm fine with. One of the things that I'm most not fine with is being told what to do by anybody for that matter. It doesn't really matter who it is. And some guy that I'm paying to do that, no, I don't need that aggravation. I'm self-motivated in that area.
Funny. That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what I want to talk. I want to talk about saving. How to save, how to save, and in the next step is where do I save, right? So what people ask us, okay, so where do I put my money? I got kids, I want to save for retirement. So this is kind of the fundamental breakdown of like your standard family. We use the family example. 1 income, maybe 2 income, children, 1, 2, 3, number of kids. They're not in the college years yet, so they're going to go to college, and these are like young people that want to save money, and they want to do a whole bunch of different things. There's a lot of important things that are going to happen, especially at this stage of their lives. But at the same time, they want to save. So the first thing that anybody has to consider is like, okay, so obviously, how much money do I make? What is my income potential? What's the input, right? And then, just as important, the next thing is what is my output? What are my costs, right? So once I know those 2 basic numbers, that's my starting block, right? That's where I start, and I say, okay, if I make, and I like to do things monthly, right? So let's say I make $8,000 a month, and we spend $6,000 a month. Like that's our cost of living. This is before any
cash flow. It's all cash flow,
right? And this is before anything. I pay for anything. Sometimes there's things that automatically will come out of your paycheck, particularly things like your health insurance. So if you're on a health insurance plan, if you're the person who kind of pays for the health insurance, that's kind of baked into your income already. So whether you're paying for it or whether your company's paying for it, that's going to, we'll kind of assume that the health insurance piece is already paid for. Now, that may not necessarily be the case if you're self-employed, right? If you're self-employed, then you may have to pay for help. You have to write a check, right? You have to. So that may be different. So let's assume, for simplicity purposes, that this one person or these 2 people, they work for a company that covers their health insurance, and maybe some other miscellaneous costs like some group life insurance or some other stuff. So anyway, at the end of the day, let's say they make, after taxes, they make $8,000.
Okay.
And per month. And they spend $6,000. So right off the bat, you're like, you're in the green.
Found money, baby. Found money.
You're in the green.
Found money.
You're in the green. So I say, okay, so we do conceivably have the ability to save, right? On paper, we have the ability to save. And I mean, how many times do you see that, though, especially in your practice? How many times do you see it where someone's like, yeah, I make this much, you go over their numbers. Yeah, when you add it up, so I'm like, right, so after taxes, you guys make $9,000, a month. Like, this is post-tax.
Right.
And you've already contributed to your retirement plan, and you're telling me you can't save any money? Are you spending $9,000?
Yeah, you get this much extra money on the table, and you're telling me we can't do it? Yeah. Yep.
So, and what's the reason for that? The reason is because life, right? There's, we say, yeah, I spend, my budget says $6,000 a month, but I know, Christian knows, Rick knows, everybody knows that budgets are always more of a guideline than a rule.
Oh,
right?
it's a suggestion. Oh yeah.
it's a lightly suggested topic,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, this is a good idea, whether you follow it or not.
Right, and why is that? Because something always happens, right? Something always happens in the month. There's always some thing that costs money. We were just, in fact, yesterday, where was I? I was at Long Distance Tire. Not a sponsor, but he damn well should be. He should be because he's your close friend.
Yes, true.
He's somewhat my, well, we
close.
always talk about you.
Yeah,
he's
close.
a good.
Why wouldn't you?
He's a good. Yeah, he was
favorite topic.
We were talking about your Audi.
All right.
Long Distance Tire. Our friend Kevin Conley, right? What happens? I get a flat tire. Where do I go? I got to go to Long Distance Tire, and what's it going to do? It's going to cost me money, right?
Yep.
It's something you don't see, or worse, like something else happens with your car. Something happens with your house. Oh, Jay, what's going on with your water heater in your Cape Cod house, right?
Yeah.
There you go, right?
Yeah. My water heater died. I wasn't expecting it. Now I get a check for $1,400 to fix a water heater. Was I expecting it? No.
No. So in this whole idea of saving, having our ends meet our means, there's that monthly budget is always going to be more of a guideline than a rule, and that's okay. That's right. Okay, because as we go into and develop our savings plan, we're going to account for that. We're going to account for things that we don't see coming, or on the other hand, we're going to account for opportunities that we didn't see coming.
Right.
Oh, look, you could, if you were able to, put a down payment on this new boat right now that just, that is for sale, then you can have this, you can have the boat that you've been dreaming of for your, for ever since you moved to Cape Cod, or whatever your
thoughts are. Sure.
So the idea of, okay, I make this much money and I spend this much money. Okay, so now what do I do? What are the mechanics of how I save this?
I'm just going to jump in. So, Mike, can I jump in here real quick? Do you mind?
No, it's your show
co-host,
too.
right?
It's your show too.
Here's.
I just don't want you to think that it's just all about me.
It is.
All right.
Anyway,
I don't want even when we're talking about money stuff. Know money.
Stop.
Don't sell yourself short.
I appreciate that.
You used to work for that small mutual fund company that's green.
That's true. Yeah.
And so
small firm. Yeah.
Your stuff.
All right. So here's the thing. You mentioned the mechanics. I've talked about this on the show before. Everybody thinks you think I'm crazy. Do yourself a favor. One of the keys from a mechanical perspective to saving money is you got to get it out of sight. You got to get rid of it, right? So if we're using
you wrote the book.
If we're using your numbers, just to play loosely with those, if you think based on your paperwork or based on your calculations that you have $2,000 extra dollars, what you choose to do with that is completely up to you, obviously. But my suggestion is always get it off the table. Yeah. Get it out of here, right? Now, maybe you don't get all of it out of here, right? Because you can keep some money in your savings account at the bank. But I'm going to put a plug in for my favorite account of all time.
All right, before you do that, I know.
I'm going.
Hold that thought, because I know where you're going with this, and that's great. All right, so let me just take one step back. Okay, and it goes to the we'll step into the mechanics in a minute, but we stepped in the mechanics. I'm going to step back out of the mechanics because there's a priority. There's a savings priority that we have to take into consideration. So, how about for our example, we're gonna make the assumption. Okay, we're gonna make the assumption that, and it's almost an assumption that we make it because we deal with it every day. But most people or many people don't make this assumption, is that you have to save for retirement. You have to. If you have the means to save for retirement, you have to. And in our example, let's make the assumption that the people that are the two people that are earning money, the husband and the wife, that they have access to an employer-sponsored plan, aka a 401k.
They're maxing it out.
The 401. Oh, okay. So that's another assumption. That's another assumption. So for these purposes, okay, and maxing out your 401k.
We've done it. We've talked about that on the show in the past. But the idea is that the most you can put in, you're putting in, whatever that looks like.
And if you can do that, right? If you can do that, then you are well ahead of the game.
Yep.
And if you came to Jay or if you came to me and we laid everything out on the table, we would always err on the side of, when they say, hey, where should I save my money? I want to buy a house. I want to do this. We'll always kind of be like, you really need to load up your 401k as much as you can. Maybe you don't max it out because there's going to be some other costs that you're going to have that may be just as important in the shorter term. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to err on the side of retirement.
Yeah, that's first and foremost. I agree. There is a pecking order. You are right. And the first place you start is max out your retirement savings.
Yeah.
Why? Because, as you've said in the past, you can't borrow for your retirement, right? So you got to lead with that. That's the first priority to take care of.
So it almost makes this exercise that we're talking about kind of academic in a sense that, so let's assume that I can't max out my 401k. Let's assume that I just don't have the money to.
Sure.
I can't do it, right? I can't max out my 401k. If you can't max out your 401k, there's one other savings place that you have to save, and that's in the bank. That's cash, right?
Yep.
So your savings plan becomes very simple. It becomes very simple. You're like, okay, we're going to put as much as you can possibly muster into your 401k,
Yep.
into one or both of your 401ks. If both of you have a match, then you're both going to contribute to your 401ks at least up to the match, and then as much as we can get, and then there's the other track is going to be we're going to save money in the bank. And that's what you're going to save. And what about saving for college? Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Yeah. But at that stage of the game, all I care about is two things. One is that you're saving for retirement because that's going to come.
Yep.
And two, you're saving money in the bank because you're going to need money for something that comes down the line. You don't know what it is, but if you have money in the bank, then you have the odds of you going into credit card debt are much less than you would if you didn't. So
better use of your resources because you got to deploy them a certain way, and so you don't want to focus on one particular area, right? Couple legs of the stool approach. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right, because what's going to happen is something's going to happen. You're going to have to buy plane tickets. You're going to have to fix your water heater, and you're going to go into credit card debt. And then the credit card debt. Remember, credit card debt is like the anti-investment, right?
Yep.
That's the opposite of investing. That is the antithesis of investing, right? That's where you're paying money. It's costing you money. It's sucking money away from your ability to save. So at almost all costs, we're going to try and avoid going into credit card debt. And by doing that, the way we do that the best is to save cash. So in that example, I can't max out my 401k. Then it's as much as I can in my K and saving cash. All right, so put that aside. Now we're back to our example before where we're going to assume that the people are maxing out their retirement.
Yeah,
they're putting as much as they can into retirement, and they have extra money, right? So now we'll get back to this. So now I'm teeing you up, right?
Oh, I love it.
All right. So
now, to your point, now we're back into the mechanics phase of it. So what do you do with it? And here's the suggestion. The suggestion is technology, which has made it so easy to do things like what we're talking about, move money around, access your money, and things like that. So that's a good thing. And what's a bad thing? Technology has made it really easy for you to get your money, right? Yeah. Remember, back in the day, right, way back in the day, you'd get your paycheck, you'd go to the bank, you would cash your paycheck, you'd put your paycheck somewhere, okay, and then you would put
in your wallet.
some dollar amount in your pocket.
Yep.
Okay, and that was the money that you were going to have to spend. Okay, and that was it. And you were very careful about how you doled that out because you knew that when you reached in your pocket and it was empty, that meant no more spending. Okay, now we have these little plastic cards, right? That in some respects feel like they're limitless, right? Debit card or charge card, either one, right?
It's limitless, and that I don't have to worry about whether I have a certain amount of money. I can buy it, right?
That's right.
I can do it.
That's right. And I think the idea is, it's an impulse buy. Everything becomes an impulse buy, right? You're not putting anything off. And if you do put it off, the bank is marketing to you that we have this service, that if for some reason you get close to the number that you don't have any more money in the bank, we'll either move money over from your savings account or some other predetermined account, or we'll let you pull off of a credit line or things like that. So they will literally let you just kind of keep on running and gunning, right?
So keep on keeping on.
So my suggestion to people always was set up my all-time favorite account. I'm going to say it right now. I'm so excited. Set up a brokerage account, all right, at a financial services firm, maybe one that's based right in downtown Holliston called Main Effort Financial. That's one option, okay? Set yourself up a brokerage firm. And then use technology, not to your disadvantage, right? Use it to your advantage to basically get this stuff off your plate, because the things that your parents told you growing up about savings is still true to this day. Forget everything else about the market. What do you do first? You pay yourself first. You're the most important bill that you pay. Savings is a real deal, right? Pay yourself first.
Right.
Don't look at it and say, well, if I don't spend and shop and eat and drink all my money away this month, I'll see what I can save. No, pay yourself first. So if you get paid, if you get paid on the 10th of the month, on the 11th or the 12th of the month, set it up so that $2,000 magically goes right out the door, right? Goes to wherever it's supposed to go, preferably your brokerage account. Because then, now it's not there anymore. Doesn't mean you can't get it. It just means we're making it a little bit difficult for you to get it.
Well, you got to take a few steps, right?
That's right. Which means you'll think about whether or not I need to get it.
All right.
So
let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about your brokerage account. It's Jay's baby. Yeah, it's his baby. And we'll talk about kind of some of the different kind of ways you can approach this brokerage account idea. So we'll be right back on Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, New England Bonsai Garden Studios, Holliston Cable Access TV. Yeah.
It's crazy.
We'll be right back.
And you're back. Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, Marsden Law Group, John Droham, Main Effort Financial, and Parent of the Year, helping it out, getting it all done, making it happen. So
start cooking at home, honey.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Burn it down. Burn it all down. Burn it all down. Yep, popcorn in the microwave in a middle bowl, no problem. So
put a spoon in there.
So we're talking about my favorite account, the brokerage account. Now, here's why, I say it all the time, here's why I love it, because you get it out of the bank. You get it out of the bank, and you're not sitting around on a Saturday going, hey, you know where we should go? Hold on. Let me just pull my phone out and do a quick transfer from savings to checking. Let's go. Let's go.
That's true.
It forces you to get it out of the... And by the way, it also forces you in situations where you and your significant other, however you want to fill that blank in, may have different attitudes towards spending and saving.
They may have.
And so sometimes it helps both of you to say, let's get it out of here. Now, you use the $2,000 number as potentially the excess funds. It doesn't have to be the two, right?
Nope.
It can be
200.
It can be 200.
Yep.
It can be 1,000. It can be 1,000 into your brokerage account. It can be 1,000 into your savings account, so that if an emergency comes up and you want to, go for the clam roll, fine. You have the money to deal with the emergency. But and I think that's important, because if you impoverish somebody in an attempt to save some money, then they basically turn their back on the plan.
Well, you're right, and that's a big part of the plan. The big part is that you can't oversave. You can't. I mean, people say, "Oh, you can't save too much." Well, you can if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's
right.
So if it's to the point of impoverishment.
Yeah. So if I'm carrying credit card debt, or if I'm putting myself in a place where I'm eating macaroni and cheese, then it's like, well, yeah, that's great. I'm saving money, but at the same time, I'm not doing everything that I want to do, and more importantly, from a financial planning standpoint, you're not going to be able to stick with that.
No, that's right.
Something's going to crack, right?
That's right.
And that's great. You save $24,000 in a year because you save $2,000 a month. But guess what? In next month you're going to need $5,000 to pay off your credit card debt. So the money you just saved, you're taking out. So Jay brings up a great point of like, well, okay, if my surplus is $2,000, do I dump it all into my brokerage account? No, I not because there's some other things that have to be taken into consideration. One is that cash account that we talked about, like my savings account. I need money, right? And we always use this. We use the term standoff. So we won't put somebody into a brokerage account unless they have cash.
That's right.
Unless they already have money in the bank. And I mean, not like $1,000 or $5,000 or even $10,000. I'm talking like at a minimum of like $20,000. Like that's that. Like we're not even talking brokerage until you're at that like $20,000 mark, because of just what we just said. Like that. Something could happen.
Right.
Your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. Life costs money. Water heaters, airline tickets.
Transmissions. Falls out of the back of the car. All right, well, you need $2,800 to fix the transmission, or you need some money for a new car. What are you going to do? The new car thing is a different animal, because then there's some planning around that. But, transmission goes and you got to get it fixed. You're like, that's $1,500. All right, let me go to the bank, or let me call the bank, or let me zip it up on my phone and move $1,500 over, and you run my debit card, and
or whatever,
we're back at it. So in many cases, you'll probably do both, right? You'll get it out of your checking account. You'll move some amount of money into your savings account, right? So now it's there to fill up your emergency bucket for a near-term emergency, and then you get that other stuff out of there. Get it off your plate.
It's funny. So one of the things that we started doing when I first came in the business, and we still do it. Is using a mutual fund money market, right? So, and this is back in the day, right? So back in the day, the mutual fund money markets would usually have a 2 to 3 times better return than your standard savings account. So
but just to be clear, not a 2 to 3 times. You see the commercial on TV, 2 to 3 times the average bank rate, right? Which is 2 times 1%, right?
Yeah,
no,
2 times 0.0%.
Yeah, that's right. So a money market rate was a legit leg up on just a regular Joe Blow savings account.
Yeah, you're talking like 3 sometimes. Back then like 3, 4. Now that's not how it is now, folks. So don't
get
excited.
Not advertising for that. Yeah, don't call about that.
So back in the day, it was the money markets were like 3, 4%. So it was legit, right? So but even better. So that was an easy sell, and that you could do this, but the best part about it was that it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't in your bank.
That's right.
And so people would have automatically every month out of their checking account, there would be $500, $1,000 would go into this money market, which back then would earn a return. And the money market, there's no cost, there's no upfront sales charge or anything. So it would like go into this money market, and it would be away from your bank. And at the end of the year, they'd save $12,000, and they would come back to me and they're like, "Oh my God, you are a financial genius." And I'm like, I know.
Yes, I am.
Yes,
I
am. You actually,
yes.
Because when we set that automatic bank thing up, it went, and the money markets have essentially no risk. So here we are.
Yeah.
And you did it.
Oh, and then on top of that, at the end of the year, somebody gets $12,000 in their bank account, right? In their money market account, paying a decent rate of return. And then they get this other free money called a dividend, right? And then they say to themselves, geez, John, I had $12,000, and then they dumped, I don't know, pick a number, right? They dumped $400 in my account. I didn't have to do anything. I just got a free $400. Oh my God, this is unbelievable, right?
That's right.
And so now, exponentially grow those numbers out, and you say to yourself, boy, I got a free $40,000. That's okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
Because
at essentially no risk, without assuming any risk.
That's right. But I'm saying from an investment perspective, once you get to a critical mass point, you start to really see the benefits. It's hard to see the investment on $1,000. I got $50. That's great. That doesn't get you all jazzed up. But if you play the long game on something like this, at some point you say to yourself, that portfolio is really making some hay.
So now, same money market, same concept, pays no interest, pays no dividend, right? There's no return on this at all.
It's basically standing.
And I will still, for some people, I will prescribe it. I will say, you need to do this, and here's why: because it's away from your bank.
That's
because it is forcing you to save cash. And make no mistake about it, you can go online and you can transfer that money into your bank account, into your checking account anytime you want.
That's right.
Easy to do. Within 48 hours, it's in there. But what it does, it's away from your bank, and as you said before, it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Like it just comes out, and the next thing I know, at the end of the year, I got $12,000. I have a cushion, I have a cash cushion that if I'm able to save in a brokerage account, now if something comes down, if something happens and I need money, I can get it from there, and I don't have to go into my brokerage account.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing, and people would come in all the time, and they would say, "Oh, I'm going to fill out this brokerage account application," and they're telling me if I want, I can get a checkbook. No. Don't get a checkbook. No. Yeah, but it says right here, checks are free. No.
GA doesn't let you get it. No.
Well, what about the debit card? If I get the debit card, and the card no debit card. No. This is an old school brokerage account. All right, it's designed to hold your money. Let's build it up. Let's put some dough in there. Let's make it hard for you to get. You see those commercials where people they open the freezer out, and out comes the credit card, and it's in a huge block of ice. That's what we're doing. We're freezing this thing out so it's standoffish, so that if you want to tackle it, you got to play a little bit of, you got to play a little jump around.
You got to want to go get it.
You got to want to go get it, and you got to wait for it.
Yeah.
You got to wait for it. By the way, oh yeah, we'll mail you a check. How we can wire it to you? No, you're going to mail you a check. You're going to get a check in the mail. It's going to old school this thing, right? Because you know what? If you need it in an emergency, you have the money wired. You fill some paperwork out. But really, we want to make this as challenging to get at, to liquidate, if you will, as we possibly can.
And make no mistake about it, though, in the example that we're using, it's liquid. I mean, it's fully liquid. I mean, it's not like there's a restriction on it. It's not like there's a 6-month wait or any of that kind of stuff.
It's not an annuity. It's not a CD.
There's no cost for it to come out, right? So, but the idea is that, and it goes back to that old-fashioned fundamental, like I put some money in my pocket, I put some, and I bury some in the backyard, I put some in my interest-bearing savings account, is I'm saving money. And I'm saving money consistently. I'm saving money every single time I get paid, or every single month.
Pay yourself first.
I am paying myself, and I'm putting this money away, and I'm putting it in a place that and again, every investment, every time we put money somewhere, it's for a purpose, right? So if I'm putting money in the bank, it's for something that may happen within the next 10 minutes to the next 18 months. But if I'm putting something in a brokerage account where I'm in, and let's say in this brokerage account, I'm investing it in whatever my portfolio looks like. Now I'm putting it in there in the anticipation that I'm not going to go use that money anytime soon.
Well, it's this idea of building sort of a series of walls, right?
Yeah.
So the first wall in your savings account, low wall, easy to get over. Right?
You can
it's
one of those
right
ones.
over it.
Well, I was going to say you could do that hurdle, that high hurdle over.
Actually, you know what you do? If you're younger, I'm not sure I could do this anymore, but you put two hands on and both your legs go over one side of the wall.
That's what I mean. That's the
like
running high hurdle, kind of like the side hurdle.
Yep, like Joe Cool, like flipping over it.
You could do that if you stretched. You could do that with a not in this outfit.
My back's killing me today. I couldn't do it today, but I might be able to do it. But that's the idea. Like, oh, hey, I need some money, and it's right over there. It's a Jersey barrier. We hop over the Jersey barrier, right? Maybe it's one of those, not even cement, right? Maybe it's one of those wooden, like a sawhorse,
It's a sawhorse.
There's my money, right?
Because I don't know if I'm doing that over a Jersey barrier, especially, the Jersey barriers have those metal, hooks, so they can pick them up.
Yeah.
I'll catch my foot on one of those.
Try to blow it, your Achilles. But that's the idea. So the first, getting it to your savings account, it's on the other side of the Jersey barrier. It's a little bit of work, but you can get it with not a whole heck of a lot of effort, right?
Yeah, right.
Now, the second wall.
It's like you want, it's like going to Jersey. Like, I'll go to Jersey if I have to, but
right.
I'm not going there all the time,
that's
right?
Yeah. That's right. God love the Garden State, right? So then the second one is, well, it's a little harder to get at, right? So now it's a fence, right?
Yeah.
It's not really a barrier; it's a fence, right? Whether it's one of those fancy, aluminum fences that looks really like wrought iron.
You can climb.
You can climb it.
Yep.
But it's gonna be a little bit of work, right?
Yeah.
You want to get in your neighbor's pool? They're gonna make it some work, okay?
Yeah. You're not gonna get hurt doing it.
You're not gonna walk right in.
It's not an electric fence.
No, it's not wired up. No, but there's
no concertina.
But there's no ladder. There's no ladder.
No.
Okay, so you're gonna do some work. You're gonna throw your cooler over. You're gonna throw your towel over. You're gonna use their beach chairs. But you're going to have to do a little bit of work. But you'll get over it, okay? Are you going to get injured in the process? It's a different story, but you're going to get over it. Now, you get the money that's in your brokerage account, okay? I'm not saying it's a fence. Maybe it's a wall, all right? I'm not going to get into the politics of whether it's a wall or a fence, but what I'm saying is it's work, all right? It's work.
Why is that political?
Well, it's a wall, it's a fence. We build a wall. I'm not getting into that whole thing, all right? It's a different story. It's a different story, all right? See what I did there? But now it's a wall, right? Now you really got to do some work. You might have to build a ladder.
You might have to throw a bat rope, a batarang. You have to do something, right?
You might have to hire somebody to guide you through how you get over the wall to get to your money, right? So, you're going to have some work. So
you're scaring people away from the brokerage account.
That's right.
What do you mean I got to go to a wall?
I have to go to Mexico to get my money? How about Canada? All right? But the point is, that's a little bit harder. But it's there. You can get there, but it's a little bit of work. So by doing that, by putting this money out of reach, now you're doing what John suggested, which is once it's out of reach and once you forget that you had it and really needed it, now you can say, why don't we do something with it? Right? Let's invest it. Let's do something with it.
Well, it's there for a reason, right? You're putting it there because you don't need it today, right? And and the other reason you put it, if you're going to put anything into an investment, is because you want return, right? I want to have gains. I want to because I'm by definition, if I put money into the market, no matter where I put it in the market, I'm assuming risk. There's risk involved with the market, even like low risk or high risk, whatever. But once I'm in the market, by definition, I'm assuming risk. So if I'm going to assume risk, I need to get something for that, right? Because if I want to just keep it in the bank, FDIC insured, I'm not going to get any return on it, but I'm also getting no risk.
Not going to lose a wink of sleep.
And I'm not going to lose a dime from it, right? I'm not going to lose any money. So if I'm going to assume some risk, then I need to get some reward from that. And then based on the level of risk, that's the potential reward, right? So again, with risk by definition is, things can go your way and things cannot go your way. And that's okay in the sense that your plan is built for that, but you're putting money into this brokerage account into an investment, in some sort of market investment, based on how much time you're going to allow it to be there, right?
That's right.
And that means, when am I going to need this money? When in theory am I going to need this money? I could get it at any time, right? I can get it. I could put it in today. I can get it tomorrow. That's how liquid it is. Granted, as long as I get my, my wall guide to get me over the wall, right?
Wall guy, coyote. Call him a coyote down.
Well,
down
I mean,
the southern
I
wall.
think that
Coyote.
I like the Batman, like
Yep.
how those guys were able to do it, right? They could just throw it goes up, like they just throw the batarang up there connected to the rope, and then they actually climb up the wall
Like right away. Like right away.
inverted, right? Like I'm inverted.
They show it. You see it.
And there's no pain. There's no hand pain. I mean, you talk about like upper body strength of Adam West.
I can't use an iPhone for more than 10 minutes. My hand hurts, right?
Right. I got to change hands.
That's right.
You ever go jogging with your iPhone? You're like, oh God, I got to rest my arm.
Here's
right?
Batman pulling himself all 200 because he wasn't really slim in that suit. It wasn't like he was,
No. He was a middle-aged man.
He wasn't Christian Bale, right?
No.
I mean, he's not in great shape.
No,
but
I don't think he was a young guy either. It's not like Batman was like 27. No,
No,
he was.
no,
I mean, I
no,
bet he was like
no.
in his late 30s.
Yeah, Batman. He was a reporter. He wasn't doing a whole. Was he a reporter? Not Superman. Yeah, Batman.
Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Oh, he's just rich. Batman's just rich. That's right. Batman's just. So what's he doing? If he's rich, nothing.
He's not.
Nothing.
You know what he ain't doing? He's not working outside.
Cigars and scotch.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. At least Superman's running around
changing his own
chasing
oil.
down stories, right? But the idea is that at some point, getting this money in there, getting it out of your hands, getting it to the point where you can invest it. There's so many people that you talk to. I talk to a ton of people that are our age collectively, in the 50s-ish, right? And the drumbeat for all of us was 401k, 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 401k.
Yeah.
So I talked to a lot of folks, a lot of people I know who were working at, big corporate gigs, if you will, and they had a 401k, and they just automatically checked the max the 401k, which is the right thing to do.
Yep.
But then on top of that, for any number of reasons, because they were piling money into their 401k, they never took the idea of saving outside of your retirement account all that seriously. And in some respects, they'll say, when they walk away from these jobs at some point in their career to move on to another job, they'll say to you, I got this gigantic 401k, or I have a pile of money in my 401k. But here's what I don't have. I don't have any non-retirement nest egg.
Right.
Okay? And where that becomes limiting is if you want to do something else. And again, you mentioned it. That doesn't mean you know what you're going to do with that money right now, but we talked about it on the show before. But if in somewhere in your foggy future you think that there's potentially a lake house or a beach house or something of that nature, not being able to, people always say all the time, geez, I got an $800,000 401k plan. If only I could pull $50,000 out of my 401k plan, we could do
I'll give you one.
Or we could do a beach house.
I'll give you one. Not a lake house, not a beach house. How about a semester at Quinnipiac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, or how about, like helping to pay for college, right?
That's right.
So because although there are, if I'm going to save for college, there's some tax efficient ways to save for college. When I'm talking about a 529 plan, which are great to save for college because you don't pay taxes on your gains as long as you have a qualified distribution for college tuition. But oftentimes we'll use the brokerage account to save for college
Supplemental.
For the reason of to supplement that. And because what happens is if I put all my money into the 529, then it's got to be used for college, right? So I lose that flexibility. Now, granted, I also lose the tax benefit in the fact that if I have a brokerage account it's a non-retirement brokerage account, I'm paying taxes on my gains every year. I'm paying taxes on my dividends every year. If I have a 529, I can only use that for college, but if my brokerage account, I can use it for anything I want.
Right.
So maybe if your kid ends up going to the Air Force Academy, you're like, wow, we saved $100,000 for him to go to college. Now we got $100,000 we don't need anymore because he went to the Air Force Academy. Or they decided that they're not going to college for their first year. They're going to take a year off and they're going to go join the Peace Corps. They're going to join the Army, or they're going to do something. Else.
Or even if you come up with $50,000 in the 529 plan, the school costs $25,000 a year. You say, look, we can pay for 2 years out of your 529, and then we have a brokerage account that has, pick a number, $60,000, $70,000 in it. We can pull the other $25,000 a year out of that.
You have the flexibility
That's
to
right.
do that, right?
There's more options.
So that's it. So you're whatever your to use your term of your foggy future, you don't know what people don't know what's coming down the pike. Having that money not in a 401k, right? Because remember, that's the thing too. If I want, let's say I have $1 million in my 401k, but I'm still working, how do I take that money out?
That's right.
There's one or two ways, right? Well, three ways. One is I quit my job, right? So I leave my job, then I can access my 401k because it's mine. Two, I can take a loan off my 401k.
Yep.
So, but remember, I've been saving that for the last 20 or 25 years for a reason, for my retirement. Do I want to go dip into that for something that's non-retired, right? Or that's non-retirement?
Sure.
Probably not. And then the third way is in some 401ks, if I'm over the age of 59 and a half and I'm still working, I can take a withdrawal. I can withdraw some money from my 401k. Either way, like if it's not like it's right there.
If you lose your job, and you say, well, you know what, I left my job or I lost my job, and we're transitioning for any number of reasons, and I'm 6 months between jobs, and okay, what are we going to do? Well, you know what, we have a couple of bucks in the bank, and then we have some money in our brokerage account, right? And it's not 401k money, it's not IRA money. The tax issue doesn't even factor into it. And you say, look, you know what, we'll pull a couple of bucks out of our brokerage account. That wasn't what we were planning on, but at the same time, that's what it's there for. It's there to manage this transition, and then we'll work on it. So again, you have options to pull it out for what we've talked about just now, potentially for some type of retirement planning vision of property. We've talked about being able to use it to supplement the money you put away in your 401k, your 529 plan. We've talked about using it to help manage the transition through job changes. And these are all things that you weren't even planning on. But you just say to yourself, geez, we have 70 grand in our investment account, and we could do something with it, right? What it is, who knows? But it's there, and you're adding to it every day. And even if you don't add to it, the market does well. Guess what? You get 10% return on your 70. Next year you have almost 80, right? Without doing anything. Just shows up. Not magic, but it shows up.
It's not magic.
It's kind of magic, but it shows up.
Sometimes it's magic.
That's right. That's right.
Sometimes magic works the other way, too.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Magic
you're 70, you can go to
comes
50. Yeah, let's be honest. Yep. The compliance people love that. That's for the lawyers. They love that. What goes up goes down.
So I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Oh, let's wrap it.
We're gonna wrap it up here. Let everybody get back on with their Saturday. Thank you for joining us today. And if you take nothing away from today's show, when in doubt, save. Save money. Save money. If you wanna like get some ideas or get some opinions on how to save money, text this number 508-473-6936. That's 508-473-MY-FM.
Text them in. We'll answer them on the air. We won't call you out. You won't have to identify yourself. We won't call you out.
We're just going to give you a name. We're just going to call you Christian. No, we already got a Christian.
We'll make it up. We'll assign you a name to any one of a number of famous people throughout history.
That's right. Yeah, we have Bruce Springsteen on the text line.
Right, Mr. Springsteen, great idea. Good question. Antique guitars. How do we value them? Great idea.
Mr. Genghis Khan.
Yes, that's right. Oh, Jesus just texted us. Had a question. All right,
we're out of here. We'll see everybody next week on MyFM 101.3. Money in the Law. Jay Marsden, John Dron, Holliston Cable Access TV. Everybody, have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody.